They have overseen and protected humanity from constant threats posed by heretics, chaos, and xenos, often serving as the last line of defense against devastating campaigns of violence across the galaxies. They are warrior deities, the celestial messengers of the Emperor's impending doom, their blades carving a bloody trail through the cosmic chaos, reinstating order to the tumultuous abyss. Cloaked in formidable power armor, these champions of imperial dominance would rise as the quintessence of the Imperium's strength, encapsulating its ideals and resilience. Amidst the pantheon of founding legions, there arose a singular legend, a Space Marine chapter exalted above all. The sovereign lords of warfare, the 13th Legion, known as the Ultramarines. The Emperor of Mankind aspired to forge a united galaxy, an ambition that first relied on the unification of Terra itself. Amidst the echoes of war across the planet's scarred surface, techno-barbarian hordes clashed ferociously, vying for dominion over territories and resources. To confront the savage conflict, the Emperor, architect of destinies, fashioned a breed of warriors known as the Thunder Warriors. Their brutal efficiency rent opposition asunder, yet the Emperor discerned a need for a more refined instrument to embody his grand vision. Thus, from the cradle of Terra's gene labs, emerged the Space Marines. Nobler in aspect and less imposing than their predecessors, the inaugural incarnations of the Astartes were created, mastering diverse strategies and tactics befitting their Terran lineage. The 13th Legion, drawn from the farthest reaches of Terra, bore the moniker of the Warborn, originating from Terra's diverse clans and steadfastly loyal warriors during the unification. No historical records tell the exploits of the Warborn. However, their initial feats surfaced with their intervention during the first pacification of Luna during the Great Crusade. Steeped in the martial tenets of their Terran heritage, the Warborn assimilated the wisdom and lineage of their newfound recruits, fortifying their comprehension of the art of war. However, tragedy awaited the 13th, an ordeal that would strain the Legion's mettle to the brink, testing their resolve in a campaign that threatened to shatter them. In the 30th millennium, the Osiris Rebellion erupted, a clandestine effort to undermine the Imperium. The 13th Legion had carved a legacy of triumphs. Renowned for their aversion to collateral damage and disdain for attritional warfare, detractors among the Space Marines argued that the Warborn of Terra had never faced a foe formidable enough to necessitate forsaking their principles for victory. Bearing gene seed of remarkable stability, the 13th suffered minimal casualties from implantation surgeries and exhibited no mutations upon successful gene implantation in their recruits. Despite their standing as one of the largest legions in the Imperium, the Warborn, unlike their peers, found themselves bereft of the guiding presence of their lost Primarch. In the Osiris cluster, the star system declared secession, drawing the wrath of the Emperor. Tasked with quelling the rebellion, the 13th Legion, closest to the crisis and yielding the largest force, marched into action. The city of Cabasay became the battleground. Under the command of their First Lord Commander, the tactics of the 13th proved inadequate. The Warborn faced unexpectedly robust resistance, realizing that the rebellion harbored deeper complexities. The 13th had unwittingly walked into a trap. Xenos ships from the Osirian Cybirds ambushed the expeditionary fleet, forcing them to retreat. Despite overwhelming Xenos might, the Warborn fought fiercely, extracting a toll from every ship destroyed. Retreating, they warned the Imperium of this newfound threat to mankind. The First Lord Commander sacrificed himself to secure the retreat. With a large amount of Astartes fallen, the Warborn swore never to suffer such losses again. Returning to the system with reinforcements, the Imperium found no trace of the Osiran Cybirds. Swearing a blood oath to hunt down these formidable Xenos, the 13th Legion rebuilt and redoubled their efforts in the Great Crusade. Yet hope awaited the Warborn. Their long-lost Primarch was destined to return, bringing solace to their wounded pride. Beneath the vast cosmic quilt, the Primarchs found themselves scattered like fragments of distant constellations, each a luminous echo in the celestial void. A son of the Emperor descended upon the planet of Macragge, its surface a mosaic of eons, bearing the weight of history since the dark age of technology. A relic of superior civilization, the Primarchs' gestation pod had emerged. Within its ancient confines, a child, marked by providence, awaited discovery. Macragge's leader, Roboute Guilliman, stood at the nexus of fate as the pod revealed its precious cargo. The boy, bestowed with the name Roboute, meaning Great One, embodied the convergence of destiny and choice. Connor raised Roboute as his own, the adopted son's journey unfurled, from innocence to profound wisdom, intellect, and strength. The nurturing hands of Macragge's leader guided the burgeoning greatness within him. Guilliman, mastering the intellectual puzzles of his homeworld by the tender age of 10. Yet amid this multifaceted brilliance, his true genius revealed itself in the art of war. Entrusted with the command of an expeditionary force, he set forth to pacify the northern realms bordering Macragge's capital, facing the formidable mercenaries of Illyrium. Through strategic acumen and prowess on the battlefield, he not only earned the respect of the Illyrians, but also forged a peace that echoed across the windswept lands, bringing harmony to the war-torn expanses before returning triumphant to the embrace of Macragge. However, upon his arrival, he witnessed chaos engulfing his city. Gallan, the co-consul of Macragge, orchestrated a coup against Connor, seeking to seize sole rulership. Guilliman, hurrying to his foster father's side, arrived too late to prevent Connor's fatal wounding during the defense. In his dying moments, Connor revealed Gallan's betrayal to Roboute, fueling the son's vengeance. Rallying the city's beleaguered forces, Roboute crushed the aristocratic rebels, restoring order and assuming the role of consul. He executed Gallan and co-conspirators, reorganizing Macragge's hierarchy with a meritocratic system that propelled the world's progress. Unbeknownst to Roboute, high above Macragge, the Emperor of Mankind toiled to breach warp storms, which prevented a reunion with his son. As the storms subsided, the Emperor discovered Macragge transformed into a beacon of human progress. Pleased, he descended upon the now Ultramar system, reuniting with Roboute. Swearing allegiance to the Imperium, he became master of the 13th Legion, and in his image, renamed the Warborn of Terra as the Ultramarines, solidifying the shining jewel of an expanding empire. In jubilant celebration, the Ultramarines hailed the return of their gene-sire to the Legion. A virtuous leader, steeped in intelligence and masterful administration, he heralded a golden era. Their destiny, once meandering, now poised to embody the very essence of the Imperium's ideals. With a deft touch, the Ultramarines Legion underwent rapid change. It hummed with efficiency. Supply chains wove seamlessly through the warp of logistics, and a constant influx of fresh recruits bolstered their ranks. The Ultramarines, once a mere contender, swelled to rival even the formidable Lunar Wolves. Their epicenter shifted to the resplendent realm of Ultramar, a sprawling star system woven across 500 worlds. Here, the Legion found a bountiful font of unmatched resources, turning them into a juggernaut of imperial might. No longer a mere cog, they emerged as a force molded to serve the objectives of the Master of Mankind. In the pulsing heart of battle, the Ultramarines felt the swelling pride instilled by their lord. Never did they shy away from the chance to prove their mettle, seeking tirelessly the nod of approval from their valiant Gene-Father. Draped in the regal hues of deep blue, adorned with golden trims, the Ultima symbol became more than a mere sigil. It was a beacon of honor proudly worn by warriors, an emblem that stirred admiration in the eyes of those who beheld it. Worlds fell like dominoes beneath the Ultramarines' swift conquest, their every step raising the standard of living for the subjugated masses. They weren't just conquerors, they were architects of prosperity, carving a path of benevolence amid the chaos of compliance. Yet even with an unblemished record of service to the Imperium, the Emperor entrusted the Ultramarines with a weighty duty: to act as the embodiment of his will, akin to their earlier role as the Warborn of Terra. One enforcement of the Emperor's will stood out, a pivotal moment that would echo through time, marking the beginning of the Space Marines' descent. It occurred on Monarchia, a city of reverence for Primarch Lorgar and his devoted word-bearers. Unbeknownst to them, it stood marked for destruction. The fervent religiosity that clung to the city clashed vehemently with the embrace of the imperial truth upheld by the Imperium. The vanguard of this assault was none other than Guilliman and his Ultramarines, at the behest of the Emperor. In the aftermath, Roboute, burdened by the weight of hindsight, acknowledged the role the Ultramarines played in pushing the word-bearers towards the abyss of chaos. The flames of war, ignited on the day of Monarchia's fall, had spiraled into a firestorm that engulfed the galaxy. The Ultramarines would eventually pay for their actions at Calth. In the shadowed realm of allegiance gone astray, Primarch Horus Heresy, once a beacon of loyalty, cast aside his oath to the Imperium. A clandestine symphony of treachery unfolded as he plotted, veiled in the sinister embrace of the ruinous powers, seeking to dismantle his father's empire. However, the Ultramarines Legion loomed large, a formidable adversary, a colossal obstacle to Horus's stellar ambitions. Horus allied himself with his duplicitous brother, Lorgar. The word-bearers became Horus's puppet, pulled into a wicked dance to ensnare the Ultramarines within the dark embrace of the Calth system. Roboute, entrusted with a distant clash against the Orcs in the eastern fringes, became the unwitting pawn in this chess game, diverting the Ultramarines from the impending battlegrounds. Orbiting the planet Calth, the Ultramarines extended a courteous welcome to their cousin Legion, the word-bearers, unaware of the looming betrayal. The word-bearers unleashed treachery and massacre, sabotaging their unsuspecting allies with acts of subversion, leaving a trail of casualties in their wake. Amidst the chaos, valiant Ultramarines stood against the looming threat. A conspiracy to assassinate Roboute Guilliman and obliterate the Ultramarines were uncovered, but these warriors, fueled by courage, shattered the sinister plot. Together, they chased the fleeing word-bearers' fleet, the pursuit painted with streaks of fiery vengeance against the traitorous survivors of Calth. The sky above Ultramar, once serene, now crackled with the energy of a legion's fury. The air hung heavy with the weight of their losses. Over 100,000 Space Marines sacrificed for the greater good. Out of the survivors, some were incapacitated and scarred by the wounds of battle, bearing witness to the cost of their valor. In the aftermath of the Horus Heresy and the fall of the Emperor, Roboute rallied the remnants of the Loyalist legions, forging a resolute front against the traitors lurking on the throne world. With a fervent determination, they embarked on the arduous journey of reclaiming planets once ensnared by the insidious grip of chaotic influence. Having been relatively isolated from the most devastating conflicts of the Horus Heresy, the Ultramarines emerged as the largest single Loyalist legion, poised to decisively quash the remnants of the traitors. To address the galaxy's unrest, the Legion was strategically divided into smaller contingents to restore order. Guilliman, foreseeing the need to avert another catastrophic event, undertook the creation of a comprehensive guide. From this visionary endeavor emerged the Codex Astartes, a proclamation emanating from the very core of the Imperium, bestowed by none other than the commanding lord himself. His decree echoed through the corridors of power, commanding the scattered remnants of the Loyalist legions to forge a new legacy. They were to disperse their strength, breathing life into descendant Space Marine chapters, each not exceeding more than 1,000 members. The essence of this directive was a shield against the peril of absolute power, preventing the ascent of a single individual wielding an army of insurmountable might. However, due to the Ultramarines' massive numbers, some approximated at least 23 second founding chapters formed. The coveted invitation to join the Ultramarines stands as a pinnacle of honor. From the diverse worlds scattered across the Ultramar system, recruits emerge. Aspirants yearning to immerse themselves in the sacred brotherhood of the chapter face the daunting challenge of navigating through trials, an arduous journey that demands resilience and determination. The exposure trial, a test of extremity, thrusts each aspirant into the unforgiving embrace of the Imperium's most treacherous realms. The unrelenting assault of stinging rain, a ceaseless deluge that becomes a relentless adversary. They are tasked with traversing through irradiated smog, an ominous shroud that engulfs industrial worlds in a suffocating dance of toxicity. Feel the bone-chilling isolation of sub-zero ice wastelands, where survival teeters on the brink of frozen desolation. Sense the primal fear as aspirants evade the savage claws and teeth of predatory beasts lurking within the shadows of vast, untamed jungles. This trial is a merciless culling, functioning as a net to sift out the frail and feeble. Those who emerge victorious, showcasing unyielding fortitude and survival prowess, ascend to the revered status of neophytes within the chapter. Even infants are not exempt from the trials, as historical records reveal that the warrior elite of Ultramar, reminiscent of the ancient Terran Spartans, would subject their newborns to the wilderness to gauge their resilience. The alternative recruitment method, known as the challenge trial, forces aspiring members of the chapter to stand face to face with the indomitable might of a proven Astartes. An impossible feat, they say, for mere mortals to conquer the seemingly insurmountable prowess of a space marine. The trial's essence lies not in triumph, but in the bitter embrace of failure, the degree of which determines whether the aspirants succeed. Armed to the teeth, the aspirants step into the arena. Across from them, the Astartes, a mountain of muscle and battle-honed sinew, stands stripped of power armor, an indicator to the uneven playing field. Despite the differing armaments, most challenge trials conclude with the aspirant being bludgeoned to death by their battle-hardened opponent. Those resilient few who manage to defy the odds and best the Astartes ascend to a legendary status, their names whispered in awe and reverence among their kin. Only those deemed worthy and pass the trials can undergo implantation with the chapter's highly stable gene seed. Yet only 1 in every 10 neophytes emerges unscathed, untouched by the cruel hand of mutation or the specter of functional failure. The rest, unfortunate souls, face the grim embrace of death. In the shadowy aftermath of the implantation procedures, survivors bear the burdensome gift of the 13th gene seed, a symbiotic fusion that transforms the host, enhancing their embrace of hierarchical command and kindling the flames of aggression within. They become more than mere warriors. They become conduits of the chapter's will, driven by an almost pathological psychological force. A relentless drive courses through their veins, compelling them to zealously fulfill the sacred objectives of their chapter. Even those battle brothers with rebellious sparks in their souls succumb to the transformative tide, emerging as warriors who willingly bow to the orders and doctrines that guide their existence. In acknowledging their war-born heritage, Roboute Guilliman aimed to recognize the effectiveness of their foundations and enhance them through his own structures. Guided by the principle of learning from their peers, the 13th Legion sought insights from cousin legions, incorporating useful tactics into their own strategies. Committed to continuously integrating new and distinctive stratagems, the Ultramarines, akin to their gene father, demonstrated meticulousness in their observations and analyses. In defiance of their natural tendency to adopt innovative war tactics, the Ultramarines chose a strategy characterized by an unusually limited number of specialized companies. Their focus shifted towards achieving equilibrium in the distribution of weaponry among their ranks, advocating for adaptable arrays of firepower, well-suited for various engagements. Restructuring their formations into unique crusade expeditionary fleets, the Ultramarines tailored their ranks to enhance success in each designated campaign. Chapters such as the 22nd chapter, named the Nemesis chapter, featuring predominantly Terran-born members, took on a prominent role centered around destroyer squads and routinely carried out exterminatus bombardments on deserted planets. Following the Legion's disbandment, chapters of notable reputation preserved their names, forging independent legacies across the stars, mirroring their legionary heritage. Guided by chapter masters overseeing 1,000 Space Marines, these veteran Legion officers received support from captains. Adhering to the tenets of the Codex Astartes, each chapter underwent division into 10 companies comprising 100 Marines, each led by a captain. The captains of the Ultramarines companies are held in high esteem, regarded as legendary figures within the chapter. Witnessing an Ultramarine is an unforgettable and inspiring event. Clad in vibrant blue with intricate gold details, these honored warriors proudly exhibit the Emperor's aquila on their chest and the ultima of their empire on their left pauldron. Their specific squad specialty is prominently showcased on the right pauldron, and numerals above the design are used to identify their squad. The battle companies are distinguished by the armor trim, and the rank is revealed through the helmet paint scheme. Veterans opt for plain white helmets, while sergeants sport red helmets with a central white skull and an extra red skull design on their ultima pauldron. Veteran sergeants enhance their red helmet design with a white stripe and skull. Lieutenants, on the contrary, don a blue helmet featuring a central white skull, embellished with a white and red stripe. Their pauldron showcases a white skull on a sunburst design. As the exemplars of the Codex Astartes, the Ultramarines undergo intense scrutiny for their commitment to its heraldic principles. Nevertheless, every distinguished Ultramarine proudly exhibits a plethora of insignia and campaign honors, symbolizing their myriad accomplishments in battle. Emphasizing honor, moral excellence, and bravery as their paramount values, the Ultramarines are often perceived by many peers as rigid and self-righteous. Despite criticism, it is indisputable that the Ultramarines have shouldered the responsibility of almost single-handedly uniting the Imperium in the aftermath of the Horus Heresy. They have overseen and protected humanity from constant threats posed by heretics, chaos, and xenos, often serving as the last line of defense against devastating campaigns of violence across the galaxies. Alone in this undertaking, Roboute Guilliman strives to revive a fractured empire, facing a future with no possibility of respite or forgiveness. Each inhabitant of the Imperium who encounters an Ultramarine will discover a flicker of hope amid the turmoil of their existence. In the gloomy uncertainty of the far-off future dominated by perpetual war, the once Warborn of Terra will steadfastly carry out their duty to protect his Imperium, resolute in their dedication. This concludes today's chapter from the archives. Please like and subscribe if you want more. Leave a comment on which chapter we should reveal from the archives next.